Hey, everybody. Imagine running into you here. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been like a couple weeks. We were not here, but we were somewhere else last week. So thanks for coming back, not forgetting about us and stuff. Yeah, if you have never joined us here in Zoom, you can just take this invitation. Click on the link, come on in, join us. If you've got a question or you just want to weigh in on something, we're here for you. So welcome aboard, everybody. I was just asking before we started if anybody had an idea for a topic or something. And actually, I think Mike has a question that he wants to pose. So I don't even know what this is. It might be something totally inappropriate. But that's okay. We're just going to let him go ahead and ask the question anyway.
I'm not gonna do that to you, Chris. This is going to be really easy. I'm going to pick the brains of the experts. No, something I'm sure you all have encountered. The door inline panel 90-degree return. We did put vinyls on it, but the door is slamming pretty aggressively. You know, those Cologne 03 7 hinges. What are you guys doing to maybe calm that down a little bit? Or it's hitting the vinyl and it really rattles that enclosure. It's pretty aggressive. So I'm just kind of, I know we can kind of disable one hinge. We've done that in the past, but just kind of throwing it out there to the group to see what you all may do. These are wall-mounted hinges, by the way.
When the vinyl's not on the panel, what is it? I mean, if you strike, what does the door do? Does it go past?
Yeah, it goes past it, Tim.
You need to turn the pin around.
Turn it around.
I think that's what you need to do, because I think it's going to the inside and making it slam. If you turn it around, it should center on the panel.
Okay, so what he's asking, Mike, is if you had taken the H gasket off the fixed panel and let the door swing, would it align with that panel, or will it go past it and end up in towards the shower?
So, Bill, I haven't been to the site, but my hunch is that it's going to go past it a little bit. It's going to, the way we haven't been having any success getting those adjustable hinges where you can kind of dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So we do let it lean to the inside a little bit and let it lay against that H vinyl, and so yeah, it's probably a little aggressive on that end.
So
Mike,
also,
sorry, go ahead, Bill.
No, Brian, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, Mike, the slip-on H strike that you have, is it the hard H?
Hard,
or
yes.
You could try the soft one. It would cushion some of the blow. Maybe add a little pressure down on the sweep too to slow it.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I never use that hard leg.
Always use the soft.
Never, because that's why, because it bangs on there.
Oh, and it sounds atrocious. I mean, when you hear it, you're like, if you're a homeowner, I mean, it'll shake my skin from time to time if I'm not paying attention.
So Mike, have you ever taken the back plate off and looked at the plungers that go in? There's two heavy springs and there's two plungers. You can back off the strength of those springs.
Yes, Bill, we have done that in the past. This just seemed more aggressive than usual. We have done that to kind of calm that down a little bit, for lack of a better description. It seems to me, and I just wonder out loud here, is there a hinge that is almost
hydraulic,
soft close, if you will, type thing?
Yeah.
And if so, what's the name of it? Maybe I can.
They're big.
Are they?
Yeah, they're used more in commercial applications for bigger, heavier doors.
Yeah.
But I did see them. I'm trying to think who they were.
Polaris makes some.
Okay. Oh yeah, they make them for outdoor fences also, don't they? Same company.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
glass and wall mounted ones.
Yeah, they were actually at the show.
Yeah, CR Lawrence actually has a hinge for shower doors that's hydraulic. I can't remember the name though.
Is it the Victoria?
No.
Or is
No,
that's a different one.
That's a big.
Yeah, those are the big heavy duty ones.
Those are, yeah, they're honking.
Yeah.
Another thing you could do is just reverse the pin on one of the hinges.
Yeah. Mike, who's your supplier of those hinges? I mean,
CRL.
CRL?
CRL is who we've been using.
You know, you can call and talk to their technical department and give you 2 or 3 different options also. We used to just take one of the, take the back plate off and just get rid of one of the plungers because there's 2 on there.
Yeah.
And get rid of one and it really reduced it.
Because of my involvement with you guys and these discussions in the past with the vinyls and not caulking, we haven't stopped caulking, but I can honestly tell you that I've been having more conversations about the not using the vinyls and just describing the enclosure. I guess this is good and bad. A lot of my business is probably 85% repeat. And because of, I guess, sins of the past, if you will, I always put vinyls on years ago. And so when you don't put them on, these repeat customers are kind of conditioned. They're like, Mike, your guys left without the vinyls. And I'm trying to re-educate them a little bit. So that's where I'm at on this one as well. So
I think like Chris always says, it's how you set it up when you sell it or whoever's selling it. Set the expectations.
Yes.
Ask them, hey, we found there's a new way of doing this. Less maintenance with the vinyl still works good. What do you think?
Yeah.
And let them buy into it.
I agree.
I've never actually used one.
No, I've never used.
Then you don't have that problem.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the point is that that you don't get leaks just because you don't have it.
Right.
And the way I always put it to the customer is, I don't fix leaks that I don't have yet. And so if I'm not going to get a leak without the vinyl, then all it's doing is detracting from the look. So why put it on there? Plus it costs me more money. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the suggestions though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The truth is, I mean, one of those vinyl plastic seals, it's not going to stop. If it's going to leak, that's not going to stop it really. I mean, it'll kind of divert some water, but it's not going to waterproof the opening.
No, it helps you in a couple other situations. If it's a steam shower, it might help stop the steam from going in that little gap between the door and the panel. It may be on direct body sprays where it's shooting right at the seam and you have no other choice, or a big overhead one that comes down like that. But in most cases, like Chris said, that's not the game saver.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you guys then, we've flirted with that gap over the years, like, closing it. And I mean, where are you all at? I mean, sometimes we're at an 1/8 inch, or even maybe a strong 1/8, but we've tightened that gap up on the strike side to about that. Mm-hmm. And of course, I don't go take a shower in their house, obviously, but I don't get, this is one of the we're lucky, very few complaints or issues that we've had in a long time. We've tried to just close the gaps up, if you will, to that, that about 1/8 inch on the strike side. Are you all about the same?
We do an 1/8 inch on the strike side.
Yeah.
Especially because if you, we used to do 16th or whatever. And then even when you block it, sometimes, expansion and contraction and stuff from steam and all that. But especially what people don't realize is upstairs, like bigger gaps upstairs, because upstairs shift all the time. So depending on if it's a first floor or second floor. So
yeah.
But we've everything's an 1/8 inch on the strike side, and it's always been that way for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So we do an 1/8 inch too, and we do 3/16 behind the hinge, and we wanted to have tighter gaps. One of the problems with that is that if we do need to add seals, sometimes there's no room for it. So you're going one way or the other, but you're not going to change your mind later on.
Yeah, I agree.
What if your suppliers? Well, you guys temper your own glass, right? So you are the supplier. But for those of us who have to order our glass from somebody else, I mean, if they send the glass to us an eighth of an inch too big, we can't send it back. So
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, let's say I allow for an 1/8 inch gap, and they send me the glass an 1/8 inch too big. So
Yeah, well,
what
we have
then what?
variations
Do I
ourselves
just like
too.
buy a new piece of glass?
Yeah, yeah. And we have variations within production too. I mean, and I know where it comes from, there's, it's a 16th over on the panel and it's a 16th over on the door. And next thing you know, you're putting that together and it doesn't fit anymore. So it still happens. Right. But I guess, yeah, I mean, that's the cost of trying to be tighter.
I mean, we really don't run into that issue too much. And usually if it's an 1/8 inch big, our vendor will replace it for us. I mean, it comes in a 16th, but if it's coming in an 1/8 inch big, their line's off a little bit. So usually we'll let them know and they'll get that fixed. And then we leave a little bit of we don't slam if it's a clamp shower, we don't slam it tight to the wall. We have an 1/8 inch gap on the wall. So we do have a little bit of play if something comes in big. So
yeah. If there's a panel, if it's door and panel, you've always got that.
And then if it's a 90, if it's like a flat 90, obviously you have plenty of room because you can just move it out a little bit.
Sure. That's true.
And then if it's channel, you have plenty of room.
Yeah. Well, I had a door that I installed just today, as a matter of fact. It was just a single door, and I didn't there's a wall coming out at a 90, and then there's this little side wall, and then just one single door. And so when I laid it out, I checked it. It was like all square and it was all plumb and level and everything. So it's like great. So I ordered the door that size. When I got there to install it, I noticed that those walls weren't actually parallel; that they were,
tweaked,
twisting in a little bit towards me. So I normally like to set that from the outside. So I'm trying to set, and it's like, oh, the glass wasn't even going to fit in the opening. I was like, oh, crap, So I was about to give up. I thought, well, I'll take it inside and try to set it from the inside out and see if, because even if I do have to replace the piece of glass, the hinges are going where the hinges are going to go. So I could go ahead and get it installed. And if the door just wouldn't work, I still have to install the hinges anyway. So, man, it just barely squeaked by. I had just enough room to get it in there, and just the tightest of gaps. So it looked great, after it was installed. It was nice and tight and everything. But man, it was close. And then if your hinge cutouts are a little shallow. So that's the other thing. So it's like you get a piece of glass and it's like the hinge cutout's a little shallow, the door's a little bit wide, it adds up pretty quick. So that's the tough thing about that. I mean, you want to make your gaps really small, but you have to give your supplier a little bit of room for tolerance too.
That's actually a good question that you bring up, Chris, for you two fabricators here. I know there's multiple ways that you can make those cutouts. One is with the CNC and one is with a water jet. Is one more accurate than the other? And why would we have Mickey Mouse cutouts that are smaller or bigger? Is it because if you're using a CNC and the bit is wearing down, you're going to get, I guess it would be a smaller hole? I don't know. I'm throwing that out. I've noticed that sometimes I got more play and sometimes I don't.
You can actually
it's kind of frustrating.
You can actually request your hinge cutouts to be bigger or smaller from the manufacturer, and a lot of them can save it in their system. So I'm not sure how it gets mixed up when it comes to your glass, because we've had at our Colorado location, we've had one hinge cutout shallow on the door and the bottom hinge is normal. But I do know they save customers' profiles on how they want the depths of their hinge cutouts and stuff like that. But I don't know about the other fabrication part of it.
I want to chime in because that's an issue I've been having actually. I have a little pass-through door, that I've got on a shower that someone wants to be able to reach through and turn their water on because their door is like in the corner of like a 90-degree shower. And I've had my supplier is on the third time remaking this little like 10 by 10 pass through door just to fit my standard hinge. And you're saying that you can request your suppliers to like do it a little extra bigger, because like I looked at the specs on like the specifications of what the hinge cutout is, and it's right at 2.5. And I'm using Portal's hardware, and you know, Portals on a lot of the hinges, they come with the like gasket actually stuck on the hardware, which is why I kind of like prefer that brand. But it's like really tight on the cutout as to what they actually use for the specifications for it. And I just kind of want to hear a little bit more. You're saying you can chime in with some specifications.
I know at some manufacturers you can. I don't know about all of them, but I've quite a few that I've worked with in the past. You can. They do save your profile in there with your specifications that you want, because if they're using Showers Online will default to certain settings. And then they can change those settings for you, however, whatever you want. If you want your, you know, a clamp cut out deeper or whatnot.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm not going to name names, but they've had a lot of memes about them lately.
Don't name names, man. Don't. None of us would ever do that.
Right?
You need to get a little extra room on a hinge too. Instead
yeah,
of
to have play and to be able to adjust, right?
Instead of grinding the glass down, you can always take a 1-inch belt sander and take a little meat off the inside of the Mickey Mouse ears of a hinge. It's a brass hinge.
Oh yeah,
comes off like butter.
Really?
That's true. Until you get to the righted hole, you can go all the way down to that, right?
You can get a good eighth.
I've never tried that.
So how many people carry a 1-inch belt sander?
My guys do.
I always request zero.
You only need to do it once.
Yeah.
How many people are going to carry one now?
Cutting.
It's on my next purchase list.
Hey, I've got some of those for sale.
Hey,
yeah, I had no idea you could do that. That makes perfect sense.
You can always even a top and bottom pivot hinge. If it's a little too tight on your tile, you can actually rip almost an 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch off that bottom plate as well on a chop saw. If you screw
your chop saw, no, that's gnarly.
You just pull your what you do.
It's soft. It's soft.
It is soft.
So what you do is you just pull your bottom plate off, screw it to a piece of countersink it, and screw it to a piece of wood so you don't cut the screw head off. And then you just screw it in past what you want to cut. Hold up your chop saw and cut it, and it cuts like butter, and it just gives you that. It gives you that little extra that you need.
That's a good tip.
But you got to make sure you caulk it good, because it doesn't have any plating on it anymore.
Yeah, we typically do it for like wine cellars if they get a little too tight, and we're using those top and bottom Senior Primas or something. So
yeah.
I have another question real quick too.
All right, good.
So I just used pivot hinges for the first time on my last shower job. And I'm just kind of curious what everybody uses as like their spacer gaps, you know, from like wall or panel to this or that. I'm just kind of curious because I've never used them before. And my gaps came out a little bit bigger than what I wanted.
Yeah.
But like it was a corner shower, you know, door hinged at the very tip corner. It came out really good because of the distance of everything, but I would definitely like my gaps a little bit tighter. So I'm just kind of curious what everybody's standards are when they use pivot hinges.
When we use pivot hinges, it's an 1/8 and an 1/8 on the wall and an 1/8 on the strike side.
That's super tight. I went way bigger than that.
Yeah.
I went like, I think I did 1/4 and 1/4 or 1/4 and 3/8. It was like right in between 3/8, but I was also in a really big shower and the door was like all the way on the corner. And it was like the first time I'd ever used a header and pivot hinges. So it was all like, it was a lot of new for me on that install, but customer was happy. Everything came out great. So
cool.
Usually it's quarter. I mean, quarter clearance. I mean, quarter
overall, an 1/8 inch each side, right? Yeah.
Okay, so it's 1/8 and 1/8 usually on pivots.
Yeah, okay. I think that's pretty standard. I mean, if you wanted to go like 5/16 overall, I mean, I don't think that would hurt. You know, just to
I think 5/16 would be safe with just my supplier, their play level. You know what I'm saying?
It also you need to know what your supplier, when you order a door, are they strong or or under, you know, if you know what they're doing.
Well, that they kind of have a new CNC guy, so you honestly, you never know if it's an eighth big or an eighth shy. It's just kind of, you don't know till you get it.
All right. Right.
And so that goes back to my other question, which is how does that happen? I know that machinery is very precise.
Right.
Is it where the glass gets put on the machine?
See, that's where I've started noticing something. So I've run CNC machines, not for glass, but I've done them before at other jobs for like metal and stuff. And I know when you run it really fast, it won't make like a clean cut. It makes it like jagged. And I've noticed the glass that I've been getting lately, whenever the CNC's running it, it's like all the glass is really jagged instead of that nice, smooth, like outer cut Mickey Mouse ears. Like mine looks like a zigzag line all the way around the whole Mickey Mouse ears. It looks like they've got the speed like way too fast.
Well, there he is.
Yeah, so depending on your fabricator, because some fabricators do use CNCs. Some other ones, they do it by hand. You know, you drill the holes by hand. You cut, you know, with water source by hand. You can have a water jet. You can have a CNC, but usually you can really tell if it is done by a machine because of the bevel that is put inside the cutout. If you don't have the bevel, it could be water jet, but it could also be just fabricated by hand.
Yeah. Old school.
So Brian, let's go back to your question. There's a number of factors that could cause that to happen. One is, you're right about the tooling. If the operator is not paying attention to his tooling, then it wears down, then it's not going to cut the notch as big as it should. But number two, that operator is supposed to inspect it when it's done. We make out of a 3D printer a hinge that the operator slides in there to make sure that it's the right size as a double check.
Makes sense.
And we leave it,
Right.
he's got a chain of all the different notches, and we had him printed out on a 3D printer. And that's the double check.
That's the other thing I deal with is like the supplier I deal with is like, they really like push and sell CRL stuff. And I use a lot of Portals hardware. Like I really like Portals. I'm curious just to how many people actually use Portals hardware, but I actually like Portals a lot for the scenarios I'm using and everything. I'm curious what everybody else's basic go-to hardware company is, but that's what I use. And I usually, when I send to my supplier, like I said, they try to push CRL. So every time I send in my drawings and everything, I send in the specifications with the PDF file of Portals, little cutouts, and I send that in with my drawings.
Right.
Just so that way there's like no miscommunication, or like if it does come wrong, it's like, well, I sent you a PDF file of this cutout. So, I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't match those measurements. That's on you, not me. I sent a clarified detail.
Doesn't Portals work with CRL cutouts?
Yes, they're all the same.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
Like they really are. It's just like the only difference really is like
All of it. Not
that
all of it.
Go ahead. What?
Not all of it. Like some of their like the neo angle clips do not fit. You gotta adjust those.
So I haven't done any neo angle yet, but
they're
like
90
for
clips.
most of the standard heavy duty stuff, it's pretty like close.
They're
But like
within a
the
16th.
difference,
They're 90
yeah,
clips.
They're
They're
a 16th off.
yeah,
CR
that's what I was gonna say. Is they're
CR
all a
lines, the portal.
16th off.
Oh yeah.
They're a 16th. You get a little deeper with the portals cut out.
Because they come with the gasket like stuck to the hardware, and that's the reason why, which I like so much better, because when you're trying to do stuff by yourself and that gasket's actually stuck on there, it makes it so much easier to try to work around the shower and stuff.
Yeah, Portals has good stuff. I mean, I've used them before. I think, I'm not sure why I got away from it. I just think out of convenience, it's just easier. It's more convenient to use CRL, especially with the way that I'm being supplied, at this time. But
Well, see, for me, I'm like one state below where Portals is, so I get my hardware literally the next day I
yeah,
place the
that's
order.
great. Yeah.
So I
I've
mean,
seen
it's just
that.
like I instantly get my stuff, and it's like I just can't beat that, because with CRL, they're way on the West Coast, And it
I'm on
takes
the
me
West
3 to
Coast.
5 days, and then they're always back ordered, and then you deal with that too. But for portals, it's literally I place the order today, I've got it tomorrow by 7 o'clock.
That's cool.
Sam, to answer your question about why a lot of the factories probably are push towards CRLs, because when they use shower doors on, if you send them a drawing and you say, hey, this is what I want, they have to go and try to cross-reference that drawing. If they're using showers online, they have to go and try to cross-reference that drawing with CRL's part number so they can add it to the list, as opposed to if you just said, hey, I want a door and a panel, 2 hinges, 28-inch door, 2 hinges, and a couple of clips. They can just go in, they have a style created, they hit they hit go, and it adds whatever hinges size they needed. By you sending them, hey, these are the cutout sizes that I want, they either have to go manually in and program those cutouts in, or cross-reference and find the CRL cutout that goes with that, find the CRL hardware that goes with that hinge. So the reason why they're pushing you towards that is to make life easier on their end, essentially. Because I mean, it's what I do every day. During COVID, when you couldn't get matte black hardware from that I was trying to cross-reference frameless, FHC's hardware with their part numbers,
Yep.
stuff that I could buy with CRL, so I could program this, and it was a nightmare. So I can imagine that on a large scale manufacturing facility, how much trouble that might be. So I'm guessing that's why that they want to push you towards the CRL stuff, because it's easier on their end, and it's just more integrated with their system at this point.
No, I'm starting to learn that. So just to kind of give a little rundown on me. So I'm in my first year of business. I just started my company January of this year. So I mean, a lot of this is all still new to me, to learning supplier things and stuff like that. But I have started to learn, I mean, I've been in glass since I was 22. I'm 32 now. So I mean, I know a basis of stuff, but I've just never been in the industry of ordering things until now. So now I'm really starting to learn supply chains and this, and here to go for this and here to go for that. But growing up when I first started, it was all CRL and everything. But now I'm starting to learn that it's just kind of what everybody else is saying, you got the 16th here on this and that, and everybody's trying to push this. So basically what I'm getting is another curiosity that I have is I'm trying to learn how to, in the field, show someone a graphic image of a shower that they could possibly have. And you either have two choices that I've come to find. It's either CRL's online showers or it's FHC's program. I'm curious if there's other shower programs out there that anybody else uses, or if that's just the two bases that everybody uses to create their shower beds.
Well, when you say you want to give them graphics, you want line drawing, art?
Yeah,
or do you
just
want
to where you
photos?
can see the panel, and say someone's got a 90-degree and they've got a pony wall, but they've got a side light, so I can show a door, a side light, and then
a little
a small
rendering
pony
of-
wall.
Yeah.
Smart builder.
Smart builder.
Smart builder.
Okay, I don't know anything
That's
about
what I
smart
use.
metals.
Yeah, you can download the free app. I use it on my
okay.
iPad. Works really good. It's not the end all and be all, but
it's something to just try to help sell the job when you're on site measuring, right? Because that's what I'm trying to build up for customers. Because where I'm at is it's a lot of people that are well-established companies, and there's not a lot of young companies, so they're just stuck in their old ways. So I'm trying to come in with that new edge look, let me show you what your shower could look like right now, instead of calling you a week later and then sending you stuff. I'm going to show you right now before I leave your house, this is how your shower could look. This is potentially what the price could be off of block sizes.
Good for you, man. Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do.
So Sam, where are you located?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa. Nice. How do you like Tulsa?
I love it. I literally just bought a bunch of stuff off your website to hold up this this shower. I'm the one that bought all this little 5 clips.
I saw that, man. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate that.
No, thank you. Literally, I'm gonna post that video later this week on shower doors, but I literally had I had to fire my employee. And I was just I was on a point to where due to my supplier, I had rescheduled this job 3 times. And this morning, my employee had been slacking off the last week, and they knew how important this was, like a 3rd time rescheduled job. And they were just like just didn't show up. I had to fire him, let him go. Well, luckily I ordered all that stuff from you to be able to hold those panels up to use a header unit. And I took someone who never had glass experience in their life and went and set a huge shower with the header and pivot hinges. Never used a header in my life, never used pivot hinges. Went with someone who never installed glass in her life. And thanks to those little things, I taped all the glass on the wall. It was sitting there chilling, made my life so much easier, and took someone who had never done it. It made the job the easiest in my life. Like, thank you so much for your little invention. That truly helped me on a job with someone that had never done anything and made life so much easier for me.
Chris, did you record that?
Yeah, I'm recording
I
all
haven't
of
made
this.
a video of it. I've got a time lapse of it.
That's going straight into my Google ad.
There you go.
I actually did take a time lapse, and it's something I do want to post, and I am going to drop your little thing in there because that was a true lifesaver for me to literally have to use someone that's never done glass or construction in their life. They were a mechanic.
It's like you'd never done headers, he'd never done glass. You were like an uncharted
I'd never done
territory,
headers,
man.
I'd never done pivot hinges, and he'd never done glass. And I used your little clamps that you suction into the glass and can tape on the wall to hold the panels up, and got all my measurements to be able to go outside, hit the chop saw, cut the miters on the header, come back in, and then try to set the pivots up and try to line all that up. And that was even like, oh, that's even a whole nother story, but it all came out beautiful.
Right on, man.
Sam, let me ask you this. You said the guy was a mechanic?
Yeah, so
Your helper?
he was a mechanic for like ATVs, side-by-sides, razors, four-wheelers,
Sure.
motorcycles.
So did he like this glass business better than mechanics?
Oh, he loved it. He's done with mechanics. He's trying to find his new and next thing.
There you go. You got your new employee.
But he's just the one that he's just like, I want to come check out what you're doing. He's just kind of like, I tried to pay him for the day, and he was just like, nah, if I need help, you can just come help me. I'm just kind of trying to see what I want my next venture to be and what I want to invest in.
Wow.
So great guy.
We've got Brian Jared's screen.
Good story.
Brian, did you know you're sharing your screen?
I think Brian walked away maybe and gave us his screen.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. I'm on mute. Sorry. Yes, I was trying to do that actually for Sam because this is what I use when I'm trying to sell a job. I take a picture. Now I'm not going to do this when I'm standing in front of the customer. I usually do it overnight, but I take a picture and then make a rendering with my graphics program on the iPad.
And this is what it comes out to right here is what you're showing.
Yeah, this is.
And
I
what
sent
is
this
this
to a
off
customer the
of?
other
That
day.
looks great. Like that's so awesome to show to a customer. Like
Exactly.
you could really clarify, and then that way there's no like mixed communication. Because I had a person, so I dealt with this recently. So I had someone who had their son at the house during the quote, and I expressed to them, so Chris was talking, probably about a month back about how when he sells a frameless shower, he sells it frameless. He doesn't cock it. So I started living by that rule because I really liked it. So that's how I started doing all my stuff. And I had someone that wanted a frameless shower, but they wanted like a little horseshoe shape with a pony wall all the way around with the door insert. And I went, and their son was the one that was there, and I explained to them, I'm like, hey, just so you know, I'm selling a frameless shower. This is not cocked in. There's no flaps or anything, strikes or anything on this. So, I'm going to make my deductions as tight as possible. And if for some reason it's not to your liking, I will come back for no extra charge and caulk in like the bottom if it's accessing some water because whoever laid your, curb didn't pitch it enough. I'll come caulk it, no extra charge. Like that's included. but I always try to sell without caulking because one, it's so much time to tape off. It's so much time because none of my guys can caulk as good as what I can for doing it for 10 years. And am satisfied with leaving the job looking like. So it's just the time. And so now, ever since I've heard that, I'm like, let's get rid of that time because that saves money. And it looks better.
It's worth a try.
Just make it tighter.
What's the worst they can say? The worst they can say is, no, I want you to caulk it.
Okay, and come back, and that's fine. And and what you get on the return to that, you actually save so much more time because a lot of people, granted, you have good tile people or you work with good builders, and you listen to you communicate what is needed in a shower area. You have good things flow, and you can really get away with it, and it's just way better than spending $60 a tube of true clear caulking.
There you go. Well, thanks for sharing that, man. And hey, I want to offer my congratulations and my condolences on your new company.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Yeah, and thanks for joining us, Sam. Man, it's cool to have some fresh blood here. And
well, to be
Michael,
honest, I've been watching for a long time. It's actually Brian who like invited me to this group. Like I've probably been watching since like March. I just never chimed into the Zoom meeting until like the last month or so. But shout out to Brian because he's helped me out a lot too whenever I first started with a lot of questions I had and things. And that dude really helped me out. He's the one that sent me the invite for this group. And so thanks to him, it's the only reason why I'm in this group today.
That's how it
works.
You guys look like you could
help.
You guys look like you could be brothers, man.
That's right.
We got like 18 people in the room tonight, man. This is like
it's a big crowd.
It's packed. Cool. I think we got room for one more down here in the corner.
Right. Hey, Greg.
We've got somebody with Shannon who's new.
Chris.
Yes.
What about the guy we were talking to there at the stairs, Greg from Montana? Is he on tonight or not?
I don't see Greg.
Yeah,
Greg. But Shannon, Shannon does have a guest with her. You should introduce your guest.
Huh?
Yeah. I saw that guy at Top Golf.
That's right.
So you guys in Vegas were able to meet my husband, Mike, and I'm so glad that he was able to meet you guys because after every call, I'd be going, oh man, Chris says he doesn't caulk. And and I found out 10 ways to clean off silicone and I got all this great information and he'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever. He got a chance to meet you guys in Vegas and I got to pull him in and yeah.
Awesome. Right on, Mike.
Nice. Hey, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see you, Mike.
So we'll have to see the rest of you guys, somewhere here along the way, if not Vegas, I don't know, some mid-state meetup joint.
Atlanta next year.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about doing something. I don't know, we're talking about doing something just as a group, apart from the glass build and all that. So I don't know. A lot of us were really inspired by that and really enjoy getting together. So there's been some, some kind of talk off to the side here. So who knows? We may come up with something like that. And I know that the guys actually, HMI was saying, hey, if you want to do this, these Top Golf things are all around, and we'd be happy to kind of sponsor another one, even in between shows. So who knows, man? I might be coming to a town near you.
I've got one here if y'all want to come to San Antonio.
I love San Antonio.
Yeah,
San Antonio is a cool place. I actually went to a show there I was working with these elevator consultants. That was a hoot. And they had an elevator show there in San Antonio. It was really cool.
Well,
we get the Texpo here too, so it's kind of cool. Yep.
That's an awesome show. We love that show. We go, I think it's every other year, like in the spring.
It is every other year.
Mm-hmm.
I think April-ish.
Yeah. Good show.
Hey, look, David Coral just showed up. Man, this guy's like 40 minutes late.
Better late than never.
Just in time for us to have him sponsor us.
I know. Usually it's when you say sponsors, they leave.
Right. We were just talking about HMI.
He was watching on something else.
Yeah, his ears were burning probably. No, that was an awesome little event. It was really fun hanging out with you guys and
Chris, there's
hit a couple of balls.
Chris, there's
What
a
I
new one here
miss?
called Craig Brown. Is Craig the one we met from Indianapolis?
I don't know. Hey, Craig, you on? Look, there he is. There's David. What's going on, David?
What's going on, guys? What did I miss? It sounds like I might have missed something.
We're talking about Glasgow. We're talking about Top Golf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of little shindig that HMI kind of helped throw.
That was a
Billy
good time.
Britt and HMI got together on that, and it was some good times, man.
That was a good time.
That was fun.
David, my brother misses abusing you.
Oh, what is that? I didn't get on here to be abused, man.
We miss seeing you at the shop. You moved out to a sunny state.
What's up, Marlena? It's good to see you, man.
Me too. I'm glad to see you doing well.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Used to take a pretty big beating when you came into my shop.
It was all love, man. All
yeah,
love.
I know. You bailed us out a couple times too.
It's a small glass world after all.
It is.
So bestow some wisdom upon us, David Coral. What's going on, man?
Oh man, I wish I had something just ready to go. I was getting on here to be surrounded by the wisest in the industry.
Okay, well then we just move right over to Bill Dobman. Bill Dobman.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see Christina on the show. I'm on there.
Christina's
Hi.
back. Hey.
Hi, friends.
Hi.
What's
Yeah,
going
I
on with
have
the
some
voice?
questions.
It was
If-
great to meet you
Yay.
on the show.
Bring it.
Yeah. What was like the biggest thing you all learned from glass build? Like the most impactful, maybe? Chris, you start.
Hey, that's my job. My job is single people out. You can't turn the tables on me like that.
She
Pick
just
me,
did.
pick me.
All right. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I really just learned that the best thing I've done was get involved with this group. It's all the same stuff usually at the show. It's just the networking. And so just meeting everybody that we've talked to for the past however long it's been now and being able to meet up, it was just the biggest impactful thing for me was just that I had the initiative to get involved in a group and stay involved so long and be able to actually go out and meet everybody in Vegas. So that was the biggest takeaway from Glass Build for me.
Well put. Well put. Yeah, I agree with what Bill said earlier. I mean, the show was okay, but meeting up with all you guys and gals, was awesome. I mean, and it was funny, it was like Brandon and I were chatting. I don't know if we were on the stairs or having breakfast or something. And I was just like, dude, I don't feel like this is the first time I met you. I feel like we met in person before, but we never had, which is really weird, man, because it's like we've been interacting for years, literally, and had a lot of interactions and a lot of calls and stuff like that. But and it was just like I'm sitting there with her. I'm like, yeah, I feel like, I don't feel like this is the first time we met. So that's kind of an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, it's really cool to finally meet people that you originally met on Zoom and be able to, I don't know. Tim, you're a lot taller than I was expecting.
That's what you told me.
Yeah.
I would say something else, but
Chris is shorter.
I was just gonna say, what about me? What about me?
Yeah, you were a lot shorter than we expected.
I've been hearing that my whole life.
Oh,
Like,
God.
oh man, I thought you'd have been
I
taller.
mean, how did he reach those tall
That's funny, man.
Yeah, right. So
But
no,
it-
it was really good. It
But
was
it was just
really
interesting walking down the trade show floor, and I'm looking at this guy. He looks familiar. It was Max.
Oh, yeah.
He comes up, "Hey Tim, how you doing?" And then I'm walking along, and Elvin, he's on his cell phone talking, and I look at him. He looked familiar, So it's just crazy
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
all these people there.
That's funny.
I think for me, one of the biggest things is, the focus, in many ways, I won't say the focus of Glass Build, but one of the things that was brought up at Glass Build was the idea of mental health and suicide prevention and awareness and all that. And, I know Kevin Hardman and I and Benji were standing there, and Kayla, standing there talking about, suicide prevention, and just the reality of the fact that a lot more people than, you would think have suicidal thoughts or have had suicidal ideations or whatever. And I think just being able to normalize, being able to talk about things like that is not anything to do with glass. It's not anything to do with, what we all do necessarily, but I think it's great to be a part of an organization that has other really beneficial and supportive aspects to it like that. Something that has touched probably, most people's lives in some way or another, if not in your own life personally, having suicidal thoughts or things like that. But so that I think was one of my big takeaways, but also just, you guys have already touched on it, but meeting people that you've been connected to online for a long time, kind of meeting them in person and feeling like you're picking right up from where you left off is just really powerful. Talking with competitors, with customers, I think you just realize that this is a big old group of friends, whether you compete against each other or not. There's no time in my day to be enemies with anybody, competitor or not. And I think that's something that really Glass Build does a good job at bringing people together in the same room and kind of making you feel like you're all part of one big thing.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, I was amazed in a similar vein at how generous everybody was with their knowledge. Particularly people obviously in different markets, but everyone's been so helpful. I'm obviously a young buck here in this industry, and I've learned so much from obviously my dad, but Shannon and Greg and Bill and Chris and Tim and everybody's just been so helpful with helping us understand what maybe starting to fabricate looks like and what that could do for our business, and the hurdles that we could jump past if we started fabricating. If that makes sense. So that's really exciting for us. That's kind of, it reinvigorated my excitement for this industry and business ownership and things like that, because I've been feeling very kind of stuck in a rut about, where we are as a business and stuff. So it's been, that was really nice. Thank you all for your help.
Christina, you were just as helpful with Smart Build and getting us introduced with Smart Build and stopping by the booth there. And then Greg was there. That was very enlightening. So thank you for that.
Of course, if anybody ever has questions about Smart Builder, I'd be more than happy to help. I won't try to sell it to you. I'm not affiliated in that way, but no kickbacks. But
we need to work on that.
Yeah, I really do, don't I? But no, I would be happy to help. I think what was interesting to me is, Shannon, you have such a refined system that you've built and been working on for a lot of time, and it's really worked for you. And in a lot of ways, you probably don't need Smart Builder. I mean, there are certainly things that would help, but you may not necessarily need to make that investment if you've already invested so much time in your own system and process that's working for you, right? So
but I like seeing those missing pieces and trying to integrate the next thing. And a lot of times the missing pieces aren't even necessary technology, but their process. And so finding out, I liked when we sat down, you know, we went through, and maybe we do this as a group too, or something where it's like, well, Christina, what's your process from initial meeting to installation? Billy Britt went through his, which was very different. And, you know, Greg and so, I mean, technology is great, but kind of how you use it and how you work with the customer is probably more important. And we can all learn and grow and change.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I really liked, Greg brought up the question. He goes, okay, so here we are a year from now, and the economy is down. You're off 25%. What are you doing different in your business? And that question has like been stuck in my head ever since. Like, oh, all of those things to think about. And we all kind of trigger those little pieces for each other, I think.
What was the answer though?
I don't know.
So different.
It's still in my head.
Say
It
first
was
of all,
here
you
in
should
Vegas talking to everybody.
say the first thing, you should never get it to the point where you're 25% down. You should be thinking when it's 3% or 5%.
Exactly. There you go.
Well,
Don't let
that's-
it get to 25.
So my first thing to Greg was, okay, well, our industry is 25% down, but I've gained all the 25%. That's how I see it.
That's good. That's
Competitors have, you know, gone out of business. That's how it works for me. It's in my, you know, dreams. So
I'll tell you now, there's about 6 of us on this call that would probably head up to the stratosphere again. This time we wouldn't. This time they wouldn't get on the ride.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I mean, you're talking about like, you know, like the highlights. Keith Dobman for me, man, was like a major highlight
Does
to
that
the
guy
whole
ever
show.
work?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I'll tell you what, I mean, it was like Keith had his birthday during the show, right? And that guy, man, he is like just like he is online in real life. It's wild, man. I mean, he is just like nonstop, like on. And we got together, had dinner, and got to hang out a little bit after dinner. Went to the casino and stuff like that. And that guy, man, he had me laughing like all night. And like the next morning, I got up, man, my back hurt, and I was like, wow, I feel like, man, I pulled a muscle lifting glass or something. And I realized it was from laughing. I'd like had hurt myself, you know, laughing. And then so he was like, oh, you know, I want to do something kind of wild, crazy, you know, for my birthday, you know. And I was like, oh, hey, man, I'm staying at the Strat. You know, there's like a ride on the top of the Stratosphere Tower. You should go on that. And he was like, I'll go if you go. And I was like, okay, man. So we like kind of dare each other to go on this ride. So we ended up going up there. Like 4 of us from the group went up. Steve was there.
Yeah.
And we went up. Oh man, it was just crazy. But man, what a fun time. And really enjoyed getting to be a part of, you know, Keith's birthday celebration, man. I'm sad that he's not here tonight, but you know, it's good times.
I love his videos.
I know, right? I mean, it's like, I always look forward to the next one.
You know, the NGA put a thing on the internet every day of the show. And I'm watching it. Who pops through the screen is Keith, you know.
Well, he's got like 45,000 followers now on LinkedIn.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
And it's crazy. So Andrew reached out and actually had him be the spokesperson. They used his caricature for the thing, and then they had him at the wall.
Talk about taking a risk.
Yeah, no kidding. But if you followed him through the show, he probably wouldn't go by 2 booths without somebody calling his name to come in and do a video with him.
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't matter. Guys that he never met before.
Well, like the video with Brandon and Chance, that was a riot.
Yeah. Yeah. Good people there too. Brandon and Chance. You know what I like seeing the influx of the young blood, the Keith, the Brandon, the Chance, the David Coyle, Christina, a lot of the young people that are coming up in the industry. I love seeing that. Love it. It's a great industry. It really is. And it's a brotherhood. And I don't mean that like it's a guy thing. It's just that we're all together. We're all there to help each other. It's really a glass family. That's what I like about the whole thing. I really do.
And the best part about the show I liked was talking to Don Freeze.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, my grandson's over there working. And his son was over there. And then I talked to Danny Donahue, and we talked about old times. So it was great. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
they're such good people.
Yeah,
such good people. Yeah,
the interesting thing is Christina, you asked the question, you know, what was the best thing you found about glass build? None of these answers had anything to do with glass build. They all had to do with what David already mentioned, which is relationship.
Yeah.
They all had to do with relationship, whether it was somebody they talked to at glass build or, you know, within the group here at glass build or whatever. But it's just like selling, if you want to call it that, or business in general. It's all about relationship. And that's the beauty of this group.
Absolutely. And Glass Build last year in Atlanta, where Brad and I are, we met Bill and Chris, I think Chris as well. And you both invited us to this group. And it was I think it was just starting up, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
We were about a year in. We were about a year into it.
About a year in. Okay. So we kind of started joining it. We're like, oh, we'll try it. We'll like meet some people and kind of see what people do, and we'll just see how it goes. And now it's like kind of a staple for us. I mean, a lot of times it's very late for me. It's past my bedtime, but you know, Brad left the office today and he goes, we have professionals tonight. And it's like, you know, we're ready for it. You know, this is something we look forward to. So
good.
Yeah. So let me tell you guys something. So when I started my business, I ended up finding more support on this group than the support that I have from my previous job. I mean, my ex-co-worker. So when I was like have some question for some reason, I used to text the guys or give them a call. Sometimes they're in a rush, they could not answer me. So let me try the group, and I have more. I hear more from the group from my ex-co-workers. So it's been very helpful for me for my business.
That's good.
I'm very thankful for you guys.
Good. Ditto. I feel the same way about you, man. I'm really glad that you've become a part of the group. And I just can't hardly believe it, you know, the way that this thing has grown, and, you know, and people, when people say thanks to me, you know, for doing it, I think, wow, thanks me, thanks you, you know, I am definitely the beneficiary of this. I have gotten so much more out of this than I've ever put into it. And all the friendships and the advice. And I think about kind of what Shannon was talking about a little bit earlier about, you know, how, you know, we kind of compare notes and get information from each other, and about the generosity of people in the group. And the awesome thing about it is like being from where, you know, from my perspective, I'm like a little one-man show, you know, like, well, I got my wife, so there's two of us. So there's, you know, a little mom and pop shop here in Santa Cruz, California. If I wanted to grow, if I wanted to expand my business, I can find somebody in this group who's just a little bit bigger than me, right? And I can be like, okay, so how did you get from where I am to where you are now? You know? And so there are people all the way along the line, you know, from like a one guy thing to, you know, mom and pop thing to like, you know, a shop with one truck, you know, one crew, or shop with 2 crews, to a shop with 10 trucks, to a company with like 9 locations, or I mean, there's all the and everything in between. So no matter where you're at in the industry, there's somebody here that you can mentor. There's somebody here that you can be mentored by. There's somebody here that's probably in about the same situation you're in, so you can commiserate with them. So there's really something for everybody, and it's because people are willing to show up and give a little, and share their experience, share their advice, best practices, sometimes maybe kind of sketchy practices, that's kind of what I specialize in, all of that, and more. So anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is thanks. I love you guys. And thanks for being a part of this.
Yeah,
Chris.
That's right. I'm gonna cry.
We love you, Chris.
Awesome.
Big boys cry.
And it's dinner time, so I'm gonna let you guys go, but I'll be back next week. I hope you will too.